Hello, everyone. Welcome to 10 Minutes Astrology. I'm Richard.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alejo Lopez. How are you all?
I'm fine, but getting better and better. It's toward the end of summer. Not end of summer, but we just meet kind of starting of the summer. So, yeah, I can see
My
what
microphone
I
is electrocuting me.
see.
It's giving me like
Does
this
that
is when
make
you
you
have
excited?
too much Aquarius in your chart. This is what happens. Not Aquarius, Uranus in your chart. It gives you.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, Alejo, last week we're talking about how to find house ruler. And
Yes.
then so we use the Torking's chart. I think we really have to do a little bit deeper explanation to show our audience how the house ruler works, right?
Yeah, we need to properly describe the example. Yes.
Yeah, so that's a go to his chart.
So in the last session, we showed you how to find the ruler of each chart of each house. Now the question is, what do you do with that, basically?
Mm.
So we said, for instance, that we have Virgo rising.
Mm-hmm.
So the ruler of Virgo is Mercury. So Mercury in Capricorn in the fourth is the ruler of this ascendant.
Mm-hmm.
And we also said this is the ruler of the whole chart.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to merge the idea of Mercury in the fourth with the first house. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
So with Mercury in the fourth house, we would say that something about communication gives him
Mm-hmm.
a sense of grounding, give him a sense of belonging, give him a sense of being safe, being protected. It's something that he does naturally. It could be learning, it could be teaching, it could be writing. We know who he is, so we can say it could be writing.
Mm-hmm.
And this, which is very basic, it's very profound, it's very deep in his inner self, is actually the image he projects to the world, because it's the first house. So when we first meet him, we don't simply meet a Virgo rising. We don't simply meet a person who is neat and order and analytical and maybe critical. We also meet somebody who is all of that, and he's doing that with a practical mind, which is
Mm-hmm.
Mercury in Capricorn, and he's doing that almost instinctively, naturally, because it's in the fourth house. It's something he has been doing forever. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's since he was a kid he was doing that. So we also see, we would say we would see a writer, right? And we see somebody who shares and communicates ideas that are
Mm-hmm.
very deep, that are profound, that are connected to his past, to his history, to his home, to his tradition, we could say.
Mm. Yes. But one thing, of course, like Alejo says, this is the Mercury. This Mercury is just now we give another layer of a meaning of this Mercury. This Mercury is not just a messenger or not just the symbol to explain how we communicated or how we study or how we think. This Mercury for Tolkien is also represent his first house, which means how he connect the world.
Yes.
So the way he connect the world have one layer of a Mercury, have the meaning of Mercury, which is communication, writing, thinking, and now we added the Capricorn, which is a Earth sign and the cardinal Earth sign. Then this Capricorn will bring a little bit kind of a, I would say, active but practical, active in practical way, like maybe write something very practical or write something is a very creative, but also related to earth, related to learn, related to tradition. And then
Yeah.
also because this Mercury is in fourth house, his identity or his the way to relate it to this world is also related to fourth house with a home, family, belonging, and the ancestors.
I imagine, somebody who approaches the world, like you were saying, wanting to learn about the past of
Mm,
whatever they meet, wanting to learn about where they're coming from, their tradition,
mm,
their home, what their inner life is, and
mm,
wanting to have specific facts because it's Mercury in Capricorn. So it's like
mm.
specific, real facts and stories about the past, the earth, the land, of
Mhm,
whatever they meet in life. It's like this kind of person who, whatever they meet, they want to learn, they want to work out how this works.
mm. Yeah, I think we can go on really if you go to
Yeah.
check everything about his writing about the Lord of the Ring. Then think about the background of the Lord of the Ring and why he wrote the Lord of the Ring and the impact of it. You can really see this Mercury related
Ah,
to his first house. But yep, okay,
sorry, because you were saying also the idea of writing something realistic, something
yes,
for real, and some people might say, ah, but he was writing fantasy worlds. So something important I would say is that he wrote an essay about the importance of fantasy to
ah,
go through reality, through go through real life, which is, I
wow,
think, Mercury Capricorn in the fourth, the idea, the importance of your inner world to navigate real life, and
hmm,
also I don't know if people know the amount of work that he invested in creating this world.
oh yeah,
And sometimes, he would reach page, I don't know, 1565. And he said, he wrote something like, and it was a full moon. And then he realized that they have been traveling for so many months. So it doesn't match that this is a full moon. So he changed it. He had to go back and change maybe the beginning of the story, because at the beginning of the story he had said there's a new moon, and if there's a
uh-huh.
new moon there couldn't be a full moon on that night that he was writing about, that he wanted the full moon. So he would go back and change all of the
Mhm.
story. So it was like he wanted it to be realistic. So even though it was fantasy, the rules that govern this world were realistic, were seen from a very realistic, pragmatic
Mhm.
perspective. It was
Yeah.
not, like sometimes you read novels or you watch movies
Yeah.
and they reach to a point where you're like, this is contradicting what happened before. Like
Yes.
Tolkien would never allow that to happen.
Yeah. 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 I think that his story is well structured, very, very well
Yeah.
structured, one after another. So I think Alejo,
Mm.
as you mentioned
And
about yeah,
sorry, to connect it to the first
yeah,
house, his identity became his story. That's what we know him for his
yes,
story.
yes, yes. So as he's a writer, so why not we look at his third house?
Okay, nice. So the third house. Also, I would say, well, I can't help it. Sorry, Rod.
Yeah, go on. I
This is
enjoy
this is
that.
what happens when you learn house relationships. You can't avoid seeing. One at
Yeah,
first it's a struggle, but then when you see
yeah,
it, you can't avoid seeing it.
yeah.
Mercury is also ruling the 10th house of
Ah,
vocation
yes,
and profession. So
yeah.
this becomes like his social role.
Mm-hmm,
It's not just his identity. It's like what he
mm-hmm,
was doing for a living, what he was called to do.
mm-hmm. Yes.
And also the idea of praising, he wanted to create a mythology for England, a new
Mm,
mythology for the UK. I don't know, I
exactly.
always make it wrong, but I always confuse England, UK, and Britain, and all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, he wanted to create a new mythology for the
Mm.
UK.
And I think this creative energy, I think it's that Capricorn. Capricorn,
Hmm.
the cardinal sign is also creative one. They
Yes,
create something. They starting. They starting. He is the father of the modern fantasy literature.
totally.
Yeah, so that's why our audience, have you seen the power of the house ruler? If you know the house ruler, your interpretation can go very, very deep and broad. So should we try a little bit about the third house?
Yes, you were talking about being the father, which
Yeah.
is a Capricorn theme,
Hmm.
if you want.
Yeah.
So Mercury in
Yeah.
Capricorn. And now we go to the third house. And the
Hmm.
third house, one of the rulers is Mars. So
Hmm.
with Mars, we have the idea of pioneering in what you do.
Hmm.
So the third
Hmm.
house is not about just Scorpio. So it's not about intensity and resourcefulness in the way he speaks and maybe bringing out to the surface things that people did not see, people did not want to talk about. It's
Hmm.
like, it's not only that, it's also Mars that's ruling the third house. So there's this sense of being a pioneer
Hmm.
in what he's saying, what he's wanting to express. And this Mars is in a Scorpio in the second house. But if you use Placidus, do you use the orbs? Like, do you interpret it in the second or the third rod?
Uh, well, I think even in this case, I will still say the second. I
Okay,
will still use the
so
second. Yeah.
Mars is in the second house. So his sense of worth and value had to
Hmm.
do with being able to fight, to follow this drive, to
Hmm.
write something that would change the world. This is a Scorpio. He wants to express something that's going to change, it's
Hmm.
going to transform, it's going to heal the way we see literature, communication, information, teaching, learning. and he's driven to do that. And to do that gives him a sense of value, a sense of worth, because it's the second house. It
Yeah.
could also give him money. It's what he needs to do to make money.
Yes. So this is the how we read the house ruler. If you find the house cut and find the sign, then you will find the one or two ruling planet for that sign that become the house ruler. For example, here we talk about his third house is in Scorpio. Then we already talked about the one of the planet ruler Scorpio is Mars. Then another one is Pluto. His Pluto is in Gemini and the 7-degree Gemini, and is I have to say is in the ninth house, right? Although it's very close to MC, but it's in the ninth house. So what he writing for? And what he writes something has deep meaning. He writes something with kind of a foreign language. You have to see his book, and when he writes the Lord of Ring and the Hobbit, he has invented another language. He even have a whole system of that language, that hidden language, the ancient language. And it's quite interesting that the Pluto in the ninth house with that kind of a mythology and the old god dying, old time fade away. That Pluto in the mythology, the word is like between old and new, and the old one fade away, and the new one is not yet born. And that is very interesting.
Yeah. It's very cool.
Yeah. So that's how we really read the chart deeply, because this house rulership. So should we give our audience a little bit exercise?
Yes, I would say you have here Saturn in the first house, which means it's part of his persona, like they say in the UK. It's part of what people first see when they meet him.
Yeah.
And Saturn is ruling the 5th and the 6th house. So don't try to do everything together. It's too much. Just think of Saturn in Libra in the first, ruling the 5th. So try to connect these two houses. And then Saturn in Libra in the first, ruling the 6th. So try to connect these two houses.
Yeah. So think about what does the 5th house meaning and what the 6th house meaning, and does both this house meaning has impact in his personal image or how he connects the world. Think about this. And you can also use your own chart to do the project. And don't worry. If you have a question, if you have feedback, if you need us our help to talk about your chart because the house cards and you don't know what planet is ruling of that house, leave the message here in the comment area, and we will be really happy to help you to work this out. And also don't forget, on the 21st of July, me and Alejo, we will run a live to do the combination of the chart. And that would be really helpful if you come to join us and to talk about the chart combination, about the sun, moon, ascendant, and all the other different parts of the chart to combination together. But today you really learn a very, very important step to do the chart interpretation from the house ruler. And you will look at, like Alejo said from last time, you will see the chart in a very different way.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Great.
So thank you. Thanks everyone for listening and watch 10 Minutes Astrology. So Alejo, what we going to talk about next time?
So next time we're going to start with the lunation personality types, which is also something that not a lot of astrologers use. And again, if I hear somebody using it, I'm like, yeah, he knows what he's talking about.
Okay, then. Okay, so see you next week.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.